Gertrude Caroline Ederle was born to a German immigrant family on October 23, 1906 in New York City. Her father, Henry J. Ederle, was a successful butcher. Her mother, Gertrude Haverstraw Ederle, was a homemaker who reared 6 children. She was the first woman to swim the English Channel. She won 3 medals in the 1924 Olympics, and by the time she was 17, she held 18 world swimming records. In 1965, she was one of the first 21 inductees into the International Swimming Hall of Fame. She died November 30th, 1903, in Wyckoff, New Jersey.
On the morning of August 6, 1926, a 19-year-old athlete from America prepared to swim across the English Channel. Gertrude Ederle waited with youthful confidence as grease was applied to her body to protect her from the icy waters. Accepting the handshakes of well-wishers and a few last words of advice from her coach, she began the difficult journey of swimming through freezing waters and heavy undertows. This young woman was attempting a feat that only 5 men swimmers had done before. Hour after hour, she fought against the winds and currents that ripped across the channel. Words of encouragement came from the open boat that guided her path the 22 miles from England to France. Ederle had attempted to swim the channel the year before, but had been pulled out of the water exhausted, only 6 miles from shore. Newsmen wrote about how the swim was going for the waiting world. Gertrude had to eat specially prepared foods for nourishment and to give her energy. She had to eat without touching the boat. If she had, she would have disqualified. Giant ocean tugs towered above the small figure in the water. On that day, the sea was so rough that steamship crossings had been canceled, but Ederle swam on in spite of being buffeted by waves and plagued by seasickness. The weather and currents would force her to swim the equivalent of 35 miles to cover the 21-mile distance. Could she achieve what no woman had ever been able to do before? Mounting waves threatened to bash her against the convoy of accompanying boats. Fighting against winds and riptides, Gertrude Ederle was facing one of the roughest tests of human endurance. She walked ashore at Kingsdown on the Dover coast at 9:35 p.m. Gertrude Ederle had become the first woman ever to swim the English Channel. Her time was 14 hours and 31 minutes, shattering the existing record by more than 2 hours. New York rolled out its best red carpet for the biggest ticker-tape parade of the time. 2 million people lined the streets to cheer and welcome the champion swimmer. Gertrude Ederle received a scroll of honor from Jimmy Walker, mayor of New York. The text of the scroll in part read, "To you for the indomitable courage, the skillful grace, the tremendous athletic prowess which enabled you to be the first woman in the world to swim the English Channel." It was then that she said, "It was for my flag that I swam, and to know that I could bring home the honors, and my mind was made up to do it." Then to newspaper reporters she simply said, "I knew I could do it, I knew I would, and I did."
Gertrude Ederle, a lifetime of achievements. Ederle was among the first real sports heroines to prove that women are not physically inferior or incapable of strenuous activity. 4 years after her mother taught her to swim, Ederle set an 800-yard freestyle record. She was the youngest person to break a non-mechanical world record. At the age of 14, she defeated 51 other women in a 3.5-mile international race from Manhattan Beach to Brighton Beach. By the age of 17, Ederle held 18 world swimming records. During the 1924 Olympic Games in Paris, she won a gold and 2 bronze medals in the 5 racing events open to women. In 1925, she swam 21 miles from the Battery in Lower Manhattan to Sandy Hook, New Jersey in 7 hours and 11 minutes, bettering the men's record. By this time, Trudy held 29 national and world records. Gertrude Ederle first attempted to swim the English Channel on August 18, 1925. 8 hours and 46 minutes in the water with only 6 miles to go, a wave engulfed her and she stopped to spit out the salt water. Her trainer thought that she was collapsing and called a man swimming alongside her to grab her. He did, thus disqualifying her. Although Ederle said, "I could have gone on," there was no fame in defeat. Her hearing, which was impaired since childhood, was further damaged by her channel swim and eventually deteriorated into deafness. In 1965, she was one of the first 21 inductees into the International Swimming Hall of Fame.